What's up, everybody? Coming at you today with a modern day Christian apologist tier list from a former atheist perspective. I was atheist for most of my life, and let's just say, long story short, I'm no longer atheist. I'm now Christian. I know that might seem crazy, especially if you're an atheist. I would have said the same thing back in the day. It would have been the last thing I would ever think I would become, would be a Christian. But here I am. So I'm going to go ahead and rank these Christian apologists here. And like I said, these are modern day ones. So, for example, like heavy hitters like C.S. Lewis, Thomas Aquinas. I'm not putting those on the list. And these are just the first 10 guys that came to my mind. There are a lot of other ones that I watch. But for now, I'm just going to stick to 10. I did make a tier list for atheists recently, so I wanted to kind of keep it the same. And by the way, my mic is trash. I need to get a new mic. I don't know why it makes like sounds like. Anyway, so I'm going to be ranking these apologists not on anything specific. This is a highly subjective list. Sorry, it's probably making a lot of noise right now because I'm adjusting my headphone set. But, obviously I'm biased because I'm a Christian now. I look at the world through a different lens. The arguments that I used to think were trash before, I see in a different way now. So, I'm not denying that I'm biased. So most of these guys are saying things that I agree with ultimately. But I'm going to be ranking them according to subjective concepts. I might rank somebody higher because I think they're charismatic, maybe lower because their presentation, like I said, not necessarily their arguments. So anyway, let's just go ahead and get this show on the road. And the first guy I'm going to rank is Ray Comfort. And I don't really have an order here, but I wanted to rank this dude. Man, and you know what? It's tough, doing this because it's easier, I think, to kind of dog people on the other side, my atheist tier list. It was easier for me to, I think, put people in that lower tier list, considering I don't agree with what they're saying, like I was saying. But anyway, Ray Comfort, I'm going to put him in F tier, and maybe he's a better Christian apologist than I'm giving him credit for. I'm not sure. From what I've seen, he goes onto the streets and he goes up to people and he gives them an argument, typically coming from design, which I think is a solid argument. But I don't feel like he understands the intricacies and the complexity of the other arguments. And just to kind of lean heavily on that one, I feel like does the arguments for God a disservice. And also the way that he presents himself, I think it's called the sinner's prayer, just having people pray and saying you're saved just based off that one conversation. That approach just isn't my style. I don't think it's effective. I do personal training for a living, and I make a lot of personal training analogies, but if I were to go up to somebody and let's just say they were unclear on if exercise was beneficial to them, and I get them to acknowledge that exercise is good and something that they could benefit from, and then I just kind of leave, I think the chances of them actually continuing and doing something to better their health, I think, is almost zero. Maybe it's on their mind, and he probably has planted a lot of seeds and maybe gets people thinking. So I'll give him that. But if I'm ranking everybody in kind of the totality of what I've seen, I'm gonna put him at F tier. And I really haven't seen debates. I'm kind of almost afraid to watch a debate with him. I did recently see a thumbnail of a debate with him, and I think it was Matt Dillahunty, and I didn't even bother seeing it. Maybe after I watch it, I'll give him a little bit more credit. But anyway, for now, I'm just gonna go ahead and just put him at F tier. Sorry, Ray. This is subjective. And again, sorry about my mic. I feel like I can hear it cranking. The next guy I'll rank John McCray. I'm gonna put him right here for a moment just to kind of think about him. John McCray, man, this guy I really enjoy a lot of his content and his channel. He's got a channel called What Do You Mean? And he's solid. He's solid when it comes to his logic. I've seen him just dismantling certain atheist videos. Again, if you're atheist and you happen to be watching this, obviously you're going to disagree. But I think if you were to watch his content of him dismantling the atheist videos, I think that you would almost have to agree with the things that he's saying, even though he's not necessarily presenting an argument for Christianity, but he's at least tearing down straw mans that other atheists make and things like that. Because I've actually looked at the comments, and I do see a lot of atheists acknowledging that the other videos from the other atheists were straw manning and just misconstruing the information. I really like his content. I think his content is solid, especially his older stuff when it comes to presenting certain arguments and for God, and then also dismantling common atheists memes is kind of like what his channel is about. What do you mean? Anyway, I'm just going to go ahead and rank him. The downside, I think, to him is when it comes to live interactions, I don't feel like he's that good live. So, for example, if you were to watch a live podcast with him, between him and somebody else interacting live, I feel like that's where he's perhaps at his worst. When it comes to polished content and him thinking about things out in advance, I think that's when he's at his best. So because he's actually one of my favorite. I'm gonna put him in A, because he really got me into. I think he got me into apologetics. Watching his channel early on, and just his content, especially recently, it's been more about him just kind of commenting on current things through a Christian lens. But still, I'm gonna go A tier there. Let's see, who else should I rank? Let's take a look at J. Warner Wallace. Warner Wallace is actually one of my favorite apologists too. I don't know if he still currently is. He definitely at least was a former cold case homicide detective. And he was an atheist for a long time, so I can relate to him as far as his reasoning and kind of what he was thinking. And he basically took the Bible and the claims and applied the filter of his homicide mind onto it, homicide detective mind, and ended up reasoning to the fact that the claims were true. I like a lot of his content. I think his content is good. I think he shares a similar weakness to John McCray, and he's actually admitted it himself. He's not really a debate type guy. Like, he's not going to go. I don't know if I've ever really seen him in a debate between an atheist. That's just not his thing, and that's okay. You don't need to be good at everything, but I will bring him down a couple notches just because I feel like he doesn't have that skill set. When it comes to formulating the arguments and kind of presenting everything, especially on his channel, the animations and those kind of things, I think are good. I have read a lot of his book. I'm trying to remember what it was called. I think it's called Cold Case Christianity. And I liked the book. Maybe because it was on audio. I don't know. It just, the information was solid, but it just, I don't know, it just really didn't land like a heavy hitter to me. But I'm gonna rank this guy. He's definitely at least B tier for sure, if not A tier. I like his information, but I'm just gonna put him at B tier. Just because, like I said, he doesn't do the debates. It's more factual. This guy kind of ties other things in, current events and movies through a Christian lens, and he does it in a very creative and soft-hearted way that just really moves him up. And really, I would want him in S tier. It's just like I said, just I haven't seen him in debates crushing it. I don't really think he engages in those kind of things, so that's the only reason I got him at A. But anyway, let's look at Trent Horn. How about that? Trent Horn, he's got a YouTube channel. Trent was a Council of Trent, and he's written some books. I've never read his books, but man, I really like his logic for real. I mean, his logic is sound. I really enjoy a lot of his videos. He makes really good analogies. I like those analogies. And again, if you're an atheist, you probably despise this dude possibly, but and that's another thing. I want to look at these guys through an atheist lens, because I can put my mind in the past and kind of look at how I would see things. I think a lot of atheists would kind of like John McCray. I do. I think maybe his earlier stuff was maybe a little bit combative, if I would say, maybe a little bit aggressive against atheists, so they may not like that. But from a sheer just intellectual perspective and just presentation, I think they would like him. As far as J. Warner Wallace, anyway, I'm sorry if I'm taking too long on each one. Anyway, I say all this. Trent Horn, the thing about him is he's kind of monotone, and he just looks like a generic guy. When you watch his stuff, it's just he looks like vanilla, very plain. And I could see a lot of, like, there's not really much appeal, I think, capturing people's attention with Trent Horn besides just pure logic, pure raw foundational strength. The one thing that I do really like about him is his analogies. He has really good analogies, and that almost makes me want to put him up at A. And I think I will. Like I say, he's just so vanilla, but his analogies are good. And like I say, obviously I'm biased. I'm Christian, so I agree with these guys. So I'll say that. Um, Let me go Frank Turek. Frank Turek is one of those dudes that I think a lot of people have seen his face, especially if you're an atheist. And I could imagine a lot of atheists just kind of despising him. But having said that, Frank Turek's channel, Cross Examined, has really kind of cleared up a lot of questions that I've had. He does these videos where he goes into universities and public settings and does these seminars and just allows people to come to the mic and ask questions. So there's a lot of atheists that come to the mic and ask him questions. And the way that he handles himself in those situations is very admirable. And I've gained a lot of clarity based off of a lot of responses. One, I guess, criticism I'll give him that I've actually heard from somebody else that said that they watched his stuff is he kind of comes off almost like a used car salesman, kind of. He's just so, probably because he just does it so often. That's what he does for a living. And so, after you've done it for so long, you just kind of have these go-to responses, and you're not really, I guess maybe if you're not sure with flow state, he's not engaged as much in the present, and he's not so poetic in his approach. I'm going to put Frank Turek, man, I feel like almost bad if I were to put him at C tier because he's so he's devoted so much time. I'm gonna put him at B tier. Again, I know I'm biased. I'm a Christian. He's just got. I mean, there's been so much information that I've received from him that I valued. It's just like I say, he's got a certain charisma to him, but it's very routine and repetitive, I guess, in a way, and I feel like that knocks him down. He's definitely got answers, but I feel like when it comes to like a deep philosophical thinker, he doesn't seem to have that. And I'll say that maybe about J. Warner Wallace too. They're very practical in their approach. They're very a matter of fact. These are the facts. This is what it is. This is what we know, which is good. And I think that gets us to truth. But I think sometimes if you have more of a deep philosophical mind, maybe it can resonate with other people, such as myself. Anyway, let me go William Lane Craig. William Lane Craig is kind of like the juggernaut, I guess you could say, almost, of Christian apologists. He's been in the game for so long. William Lane Craig, to me, is definitely one of, at a higher tier. The thing that brings him down to me, I think, is he's so well versed in the arguments. He's so intertwined with those philosophical stances and so educated on all these things. I think that a lot of what he said can just go, or a lot of what he says can just go over a lot of people's heads. Even myself being, being in the game, I guess you could say, in a Christian apologetics for a while, consuming information, reading books, looking at the debates, those kind of things. A lot of times the things that he says, you kind of have to look up certain words based off what the verbiage that he's using. A lot of times he just understands things on a deeper level. He's a heavy hitter, but to the common folk, I think a lot of what he says can go over their head. I'm going to put him in A tier, because he's just so good at what he said. I mean, what the things that his logic and his approach, and he's very, when I listen to him talk, I can tell that he's engaged in the present. But I do feel like he kind of suffers a little bit from kind of what Frank Turek does, as they're so used to debating people that they kind of, it's just so easy to go into your pocket and just pull out, arguments that you've used over and over and over again, which isn't a bad thing. Oh man, I'm moving this up and down. But like I say, I'm just gonna put him at A tier. Let me just put it that way. Bishop Barron, Robert Barron, Bishop Barron. Bishop Barron is one of my favorite apologists. I'm gonna put him in S tier. He is just so educated on so many different things from the past and these arguments, and his charisma, and man, I just Bishop Barron. I'm not even a Catholic, but I just love hearing him talk. I just love hearing him engage with other people. I know he had a conversation with Alex O'Connor. I'm really looking to watch that. I don't think I watched that. But Alex O'Connor's he's an atheist, Alex O'Connor, if you didn't watch my other video. But Alex O'Connor is S tier atheist to me. So to get these two S tier philosophical thinkers together and have a conversation, that sounds like that would be a really good conversation from those two. Let's see here. We got Michael Jones. And what's interesting about Michael Jones is initially I was going to put him in this tier list because I've seen him recently. I actually just watched a long video. It was like over an hour with him and Alex O'Connor as well. But this was before I watched that video. But anyway, I was going to put him on here, and I was thinking I would rank him kind of low. Not because of his arguments or anything, but just the way that he kind of presents himself live. But what I just recently found out, it's interesting that I didn't even know, is his channel, Inspiring Philosophy, I didn't know was his. And that Inspiring Philosophy YouTube channel, to me, is like a top tier Christian apologist channel. And man, I just really like the arguments and the logic and the fact, like all the science that he cites to back up his claims. And he's just a prepared debater. And I mean, I have to rank him higher. I mean, that Inspiring Philosophy channel, man, I really like that channel a lot. And listening to that conversation between him and Alex O'Connor really raised it up, man. I would have put him lower if I didn't watch that conversation recently. But the fact that I listened to that, I feel like I almost got to lift him up. I feel like I got to almost put him in A tier. Just because I like his channel. I mean, I like his channel so much. Inspiring Philosophy. I mean, there really hasn't been anything on his channel that I didn't like. I mean, besides, like I said, when it comes to the live stuff, it just doesn't seem like he's as polished or charismatic or cunning. But that interview with him and Alex O'Connor was a top tier interview. I thought, and especially the subject matter that they were talking about, it was something along the lines of, why would God send people to hell? Something like that. That's a very divisive and polarizing and sensitive subject matter, and for him to handle it like he did, I was just really impressed. So I just got to put him at A tier. Look at, they're all high, you know. I'm biased. What can I say, you know? And these guys are these are heavy hitters too. I mean, and you know what? The thing is, when I was thinking about these names, these were people that came to my mind that were good. I probably should have thought about some other people that I didn't, apologists that I didn't like. And Ray Comfort came to my mind just because he was one that was one that I put. Maybe I should do another one with, I guess other people that don't really, maybe I don't like the things that they say or whatever. So anyway, I'm obviously biased, but Ravi Zacharias, I feel like I have to put him in S tier too. I haven't seen a lot of his content recently. I mean, he did pass away, so he's obviously not putting out any content. But the content that I used to consume and watch from him, he's one of those guys that's very present, that even though he travels around the world, or I should say traveled around the world, doing debates and having conversations with atheists and people and engaging in those questions, it's like every time he engages with somebody, it's almost like it's a new experience. And yeah, he's just got that wit to him. He's got that wit, and he's got that mind. And I want to say he was an atheist too, if I remember correctly. Or maybe he was, I think maybe he was atheist, and then, or he was Hindu and then he went atheist and then Christianity. But anyway, I'm just going to put him in S tier. Hey, this is my list. I do what I want. You do what you want. You take these guys and rank them how you want. So John Lennox, I'm going to have to put him in S tier too. He's just too good. He's a mathematician. He's something called a bioethicist. I don't really understand what that is, but he's just got that. He's got that charm, and it's not just about the charm. I've watched debates with him, and it's amazing. They'll be atheists just listing off these things about what they don't like with religion and God, and their problems with God, and he'll just systematically address each one of them and just dismantle it in a way that's that's commendable and inspiring. So anyway, that's my list. And like I say, maybe I'll add some more people in the future, maybe some lower ones, but as you can see, obviously I'm biased, and you know, no hard feelings to anybody. Ray Comfort too, you know, you he is I mean, it's commendable what he does, and it is inspiring, and I respect that. And maybe there's more fruits, and maybe there's more to him than what I know, but I'm just looking at the surface, and I'm just some guy giving my opinion on these things, and it's like I say, it's subjective. That's all it is. So at the end of the day, when it comes to ranking these people, I feel like a lot of it has to do with subjective opinion. But I'm having some deja vu right now, interestingly enough. But anyway, that's it for the video, guys. If you made it this far, thanks for listening. God bless you all. Peace.